Chiefs have selected George Karlaftis. Big George! There we go!
I am so beyond excited that Josh Simmons getting a crack at left tackle.
It's really hard to win the AFC Championship.
Is it?
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our great partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. Always appreciative of them being day ones with all of us here at KCSN. I'm here with one of my day ones, Maddie Lane, on a Monday. Maddie, you guys know how much I miss last week and not getting to do the show last week and not getting to do breaking news last week or today. I am so excited to be hanging out with you today.
You know what? I'm excited for you to be back too, Kent. I'm not even going to pretend. I enjoy that you are back here and we get to sit here staring longly into each other's eyes, talking about brand new Chiefs news in where we might be going. So welcome back. Here, let me be a nice person. Kent, how was your trip? Did you have a good time?
Thank you for asking, Matthew. I appreciate it. I had a great.
Now you've ruined it.
I had a great time. Hanging out with my family. Why did I ruin it? What did I do?
Matthew.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we had a great time. Fam had a great time. We went on a little cruise. Found a nice little deal on a cruise. Took advantage of it. Surprised the boys. They did not know. That was a highlight of my life. And they had such a good time, and we had a great time. I actually tried to jump on. We had a lot of downtime, because my youngest is 4. So you can only do so much on a cruise ship. You can only keep them up so long on a cruise ship. So we had nap times. We had down times. I tried to jump on breaking news team when Trent McDuffie came in. Like I tried to stay involved as much as I can, check in with everything, see how things was going. So it was awesome. We had a nice time relaxing. I slept so hard. I sleep like a baby on cruise ships. And we're in bed by 10. We're in the room by 9 every night with the youngest too. So so it was awesome. It was much needed. It was a much needed little reprieve here. But I found myself having serious FOMO and getting very excited to come back and talk Chiefs with my friends. So
okay. I don't want to belabor this too long. No, I'm sorry. I got one question for you. I don't want to belabor it too long because I know people are here to talk free agency and there is real stuff. So I don't want to dilly-dally too much. But I got to ask, what was the best thing you ate? People don't always think about it, but cruise ships have some. It's a fun eating experience. I'm not saying it's like the best food you've ever eaten, but they give you some really nice meals sometimes. So what was the best thing that you ate?
So we got a we were Norwegian. Shout out Norwegian Cruise Line. Great cruise line. They're wonderful. They have this free at sea. It's a great package. It's like
toilets work.
Bar. It's all no poop cruise for us. We did the steak night, our steakhouse one night, and so I got I went with a nice filet mignon and a little bit of lobster tail, and I never have lobster tail, so we got a little lobster action. It was awesome. So I think that was probably the best thing. Then they had a crepe station we hit up a couple of times. It was fantastic. Little dessert. That was probably the best dessert I had. It was the little crepe station. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay,
we had a great time.
I like it. Good answer. Okay, sorry. Now we can get to the real stuff. People aren't here for cruise talk. I decided I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to be nice to you for here on out, and I wanted to know how your vacation went.
I don't know if I like that. I'm not sure how I feel about that one, if I'm going to be honest. It's going to take a while to get used to. But there is plenty of news, and Maddie's been all over a lot of this. I think the Tuck and Maddie have been holding it down with breaking news team today. Did you do the Travis one too?
No, I was a little busy for that one. I had a lot of landscaping to do. And listen, this is not a shot at Travis Kelce in any way, shape, or form. But one of the Chiefs' own free agents returning, I was going to go ahead and continue to do some outdoor work instead of jumping back on another breaking news team for that one. So that was all Tuck. That was a straight Tuck shot.
All your sleeves were busy this week too, I guess.
Well, it's hot here. It was like 80 degrees. What am I putting sleeves on for when it's 80 degrees?
I don't know. Just to be on camera. I don't know. Just a thought. No,
we all have our lane.
I feel like and Maddie has his. See what I did there? I do feel like, your blazer is just going sleeveless for breaking news team, because you very rarely are wearing sleeves during the day. And so when
Correct.
it does feel like that's the bit you've just leaned into, is you've just decided that whenever it's time to, have some of the highest producing, most productive shows on our network, the breaking news team, that you just need to, not have sleeves on. So
you convinced me. Great idea, Kent. Good idea. I'll take that to heart, and I will probably. You know what? For you, I'll do that. Okay, for you, I will make that happen.
I like it. I listened to the breaking news teams a little bits and pieces here. I listened to the Kenneth Walker one, and I just want you to know I did. Did you think I was the one that did the write up on Kenneth Walker?
No, I did not.
Who'd you think it was? Who'd you think it was?
I thought it might have been Ross, but then I was like, ooh, I don't know if the timeline's lining up there.
No, that was me.
Okay, so the reason I wouldn't have pegged you for that at all was because there was like the speech part of it, the text, like where you put the M dashes, you like repeated the same word, like right around that. I was like, that's a Jake move, not a Kent move.
You're reading out loud. I was like, ooh, that's a tough L for the editor of the KCSN draft guide. It's okay. Yeah. We had some style guide arguments last year that never got resolved and probably won't this time around either. That just probably won't hit. That's okay. No. Let's get into the news though. We will start with this. The Kansas City Chiefs made a splash very quickly in the legal tampering period. They have signed running back and Super Bowl MVP. Did you know he was the Super Bowl MVP? Had you heard that? Kenneth Walker, the running back, signs with the Chiefs. 3 years, a little over $43 million. That can go up to $45 million. That is the deal he signs. The Chiefs went out seeking explosion in the running back room. They wanted more explosive plays. They found the guy that can do that. It is running back Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks. Kind of felt like a two-man race, right? I mean, I think this whole time it kind of just felt like, there was a lot of early ETN buzz, Travis Etienne buzz to the Chiefs, who I believe winds up signing for the second most money in this free agency cycle here. And then there's some late Kenneth Walker, conversations start. Last week or so, it kind of feels like the momentum picks up for Kenneth Walker. Chiefs wind up with the former Michigan State running back. For those that didn't listen to the breaking news team, Maddie, just your initial thoughts when you heard the news that the Chiefs were signing Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, like I talked a little bit about, so I'm trying to be, I guess, quick with this. I still have mixed results now. When I first saw it, I was like excited, right? Like you're adding a very dynamic running back, an electric player to a Chiefs offense that has had nothing at that position. And I don't even need convincing. Like my brain immediately goes, yeah, it makes sense. Even if he's not the most consistent runner on the planet, he makes sense for what the Chiefs have, because he's not going to get, no running back's going to get 25 carries to find their groove and just to continue to chip away to defense. It's about maximizing the 14, 15, 16 touches you do get, right? And Kenneth Walker is a guy, if he gets that many touches, there's always a chance he breaks a big play. So I understood the fit and everything. The more I sat on it, though, like it's a good chunk of money for a guy that I don't think is a complete running back. And so like ultimately still, as we sit here on Monday night, like I get how the Chiefs got there and I don't dislike the move, but I also am coming away thinking like they still need another running back though. They still need someone that's going to come and play the third downs. They don't have that guy yet. That's a lot of money to spend when you still need, not want or could use, but still need another running back. So I'm a little torn on it. I'm excited to get your opinion, though, because I have not heard that yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really given a ton of takes, even while we were all having the conversations and processing the news as it was hitting. I'm pretty excited about it. I think, especially when you really look at it as like, it kind of felt like it was a two-man race. Kind of felt like it said, like with ETN versus Kenneth Walker. I think as a runner, I like Kenneth Walker better. I think he's a lot more explosive. I think he's a lot more dynamic. Some of the plays that he made in during the entire playoff stretch. Don't just watch the Super Bowl. Watch the entire playoff stretch. There's a play in the red that he makes basically on his own. He makes like two guys miss on a little zone play and just bolts to the sideline and beats everyone. Those kind of plays are badly missed in this offense. And there's just not been that kind of burst and that kind of explosion in this room in a long time. And so I look at I think about Damian Williams and some of what he provided to provided the Chiefs in the early 2020s, late 2010s. There's a little bit of Damian Williams running style to him, but a just steroid version of that one. Just more explosive, but the ability to hit that home run, a little bit more wiggle, makes guys miss. Yeah, there's a lot with the profile that I think is incomplete still. And you guys were talking about when you're looking at the write-up, when you look at a guy that you probably aren't going to see him play on third downs, he's not a guy that you're going to get super excited about in pass protection. Doesn't do it particularly well. I think the pass game, has come along a lot more than it did in college. In college, I think I wrote it up. It's just didn't look comfortable. Wasn't a big piece of what he did at Michigan State. Not a ton of experience doing it. Didn't always look comfortable catching the ball even away from his frame. He's made strides in that regard too. Yeah, there's holes to the game, but as a pure runner, I think there's so much to like about him. Then I think you put him in this offense, you put him with Andy Reid. Andy Reid will find a way to exploit his strengths. I feel good, especially looking at the gap between what ETN and Walker got wasn't substantial, and I think I'd rather pay Kenneth Walker what they paid him versus what they paid Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I think the two are an interesting comparison because I'm with you. I think Walker's more explosive. I think he's more dynamic. I probably just isolated as players. I think he's probably a little bit better player than Travis Etienne. But if I were to look at the Chiefs' offense, I think Etienne fit a little bit better. I think Etienne's issues are more in line with Damian Williams, and that he's just not great with his vision, right? And he'll try to bounce the ball sometimes, which leads to some negative plays. That's Etienne. Kenneth Walker, he shares those things, but then he also, just for the love of the game, goes off script. Just for no reason whatsoever, he just goes off script. And it's not that it scares me. It's just there's no rationale for it other than he thinks he can always make a big play. And it leads to a lot of negative runs. If you can, right now, you can even sort stuff on next gen stats. And as long as you just, however you want to sort stuff for the NFL film stuff, there's just so many negative plays to go along with the obvious positive plays. And it's not the play was blown up. It's Kenneth Walker decided after 2 steps, he's just going to stop going left and go right because. And there's not a lot of rationale. Now, sometimes he gets outside of the backside defensive end and they lose contain. And now it becomes a 15-yard play. I watched 5 games, and no less than 4 times in 5 games did he get a 10+ yard run by just deciding he was going to run the wrong direction after a couple steps. You can't, there's a level of talent that's necessary to do that. But I also get a little frustrated watching that because, as soon as that goes poorly, you're like, why? Why are we even trying this? So there's some frustrations to his game. I will say this is probably why you like having hiring a DeMarco Murray and having Eric Bieniemy on staff. You were getting some guys that you hope can crack down on stuff like that. And if you get him to just limit those kind of things, again, the vision's always going to be okay, not elite, just okay. You're going to have incidences where he does try to bounce outside and run to space. I can live with that. It's when you completely go off track of the run or lose the pacing just because you want to sprint now instead of slow it down. That's where you start to get more frustrated and it costs the team real yards. You hope that Bieniemy and Murray can kind of rein that in. And then that way it starts to look a little bit better. So I think there is a chance that he looks even better in Kansas City than he did in Seattle, even during this playoff stretch. It's just, I also have a little bit of reservation that there might be a couple big downs where he takes a 3-yard loss and there was no reason to take that 3-yard loss.
Yeah, well, the good news is in those big downs, it's probably in Patrick Mahomes' hands anyway, knowing Andy. I do agree. I do think Etienne's probably on the surface. Probably you're right. Probably a better fit. Especially there is some background with some similar offenses with Doug Peterson in the past, and it's you've got some experience there, and more gun runs. I think there's familiarity there, but maybe that's not as much of a good thing as we think, right? We know what Travis Etienne kind of looks like in this offense, and he's a very good player. And he would have been totally good in Kansas City, and he would have been the, for what the Chiefs have done in the past, he would have fit well. But I think there's upside with Walker. I think you're right. Yeah. That's kind of where I was going to. I think there's more ceiling with Walker than there is with Etienne. We know what Etienne is, and Etienne's a little bit older, a little bit of an older back. a little bit more experience there. I think there's more ceiling here. This coaching staff is heavily weighed in the running back room. The offensive coordinator and the running back coach are here to get the most out of whoever it was going to be, whether it was Ken Walker, whether it was Etienne, whether it was Jeremiah Love. There's an infrastructure there to improve whatever running back shows up this year. And I think that there's some ceiling to Kenneth Walker that is unrealized. But even if he doesn't realize more than what he is to this point, you're getting a good quality, capable back. I just think there is a little bit more ceiling to this as well.
I had a question and one last thing for Walker. And the big thing for Walker that I want to know, the last time Eric Bieniemy was in Kansas City, towards the end of the run, when he was the OC, they started running a little bit more inside zone and got away from outside zone. I'm curious if that comes back, because I don't think Walker's near as good on outside zone stuff as Etienne would have been, and he's even that great. Like, it's not his best run, because that's where his pathing and his pace and his desire to either turn and run the wrong way or just run outside the tackle, regardless of what's in front of him, really comes to attack him. But when he goes inside zone or, God forbid, gap stuff, I actually think when he is forced to press the line of scrimmage vertically, that's when he looks the best. Like, he goes back and forth. Sometimes he still overruns stuff and it gets impatient, but I've seen runs with really good patience. So like, when you force him to get a little bit more north and south from the get-go, I actually think that's where he's at his best. So I am curious if the Chiefs go back from outside zone, or technically it was wide zone because they were under. People make the under center joke. The Chiefs' most common run was an under center run. I mean, it wasn't by a lot, and they didn't do it a ton compared to the rest of the league, but their most common run was outside zone from under center or wide zone. So I just curious where they go, because I think he runs inside zone a little bit better than he does anything else. That's where you really see his lateral agility and his explosiveness come out. I actually think he forces more missed tackles when they're squared up too. When he runs to the outside, he just kind of tries to outrun everybody. So I'm just curious to see if we see a small shift in the run game. And the last time Bieniemy was in Kansas City, they did do that on his final year. And then, like, my last thing, here's a question. You can come in with everything. I just got a question. You can have the whole floor. Who do they sign to be their pass protecting back?
Don't know.
Or not sign. Who plays third downs for this team come season? Is it a draft pick? Is there somebody you think they're going to sign? How do you think that goes?
I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I think, no, I don't have it. Who do you think?
Mr. Kareem Hunt?
Yeah. That's probably the answer. Like, I'm going,
and that's not what you want, because he's not a dynamic receiver, right? Like, he doesn't add that receiving element that you want. Maybe they do draft somebody, right? Maybe it is they have enough day 3 draft picks that you probably can get a around 5 to 7 pick. And so, like, maybe somebody like a Le'Veon Moss somehow is still, not somehow, but like, is still available, and you want to sign him to be like a true short yardage back when you don't want to use Kenneth Walker, and be your kind of third down back that can pass protect. And when you throw him the ball, it's not Mr. Kareem Hunt levels of lacking dynamic ability. But I mean, I think Kareem Hunt is probably the safest bet to come in and take that role.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through some of these names, and I'm just trying. There's not a ton out there. There's really not a ton out there. Rashad White, like, I don't know what he's gonna cost. Kareem. How many running backs that you've graded at this point are you excited about in Pass Pro?
I'd have to pull back. There's a couple. Like I said, I was just talking about Le'Veon Moss. You got to teach him how to do it, but like, Katron Allen's very interested in doing it. Now that's probably more round 4.
Yeah.
Than round 5. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm just now getting to like that the range that I'd be wanting to look at. But there's a couple guys, like I've mentioned CJ Donaldson before. I wrote up Le'Veon Moss recently. He was another guy. So like, there's some people there here. I got it pulled up now because I was I got last year's. Never mind, I don't have it pulled up, so I can't even give you that answer.
Don't worry
Thanks
about
for putting
it.
me on the spot.
I do have one other running back related question. It's an alternate universe. It's outside of the ETN Kenneth Walker conversation. I'll ask you that question right after this.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We've kind of said it feels like it was a two-man race, ETN, Kenneth Walker, when it came to the Chiefs in the running back room. I actually have a little bit of a theory, too. It felt like the ETN smoke was there early, and then once it kind of became concrete that Kenneth Walker wasn't going back to Seattle, that's kind of when it felt like Kenneth Walker became a lot more realistic option. That's kind of the timeline. I'm not sure that if Kenneth Walker winds up in Seattle that Travis Etienne's not a Chief right now. That's just kind of how I feel. So that's kind of what I wonder if that's how things went. But let's work in a different universe here, because we've seen some figures kind of come in a little bit in the running back market. Would you rather have Kenneth Walker, or would you rather have the pairing of Tyler Algier, who signed with the Arizona Cardinals for around $6 million a year, and Kenneth Gainwell, who signed for a similar figure there? Would you where did Gainwell go? He went
Tampa.
He went to Tampa. Would you rather have that pairing of running backs, or would you rather have Kenneth Walker?
Whew. I think that for the Chiefs, if I was running the Chiefs, I think I would still rather have Walker than the pairing, because I like the fact that Kenneth Walker can be a volume running back on early downs, and he still provides you with the home run ability. For that other pairing, Gainwell's kind of your home run hitter, and even still, he's more of it through the air, whereas Algiers, you're going to be your volume back, and he's not going to hit the home run. So, not that you're tipping your hand necessarily, but you kind of have to still deal with the rotation and cycle guys in and out, and you don't get okay, I can hand this ball off 3 straight times to this player and get 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. I could also hand it off once and get 55 yards. You don't have that in one player, I think. So I think I'd still lean Walker, but it's close. I think it's pretty close.
I'd lean Walker. Just because, and I like the idea of both of those backs because I think they both present something different. But I think having Walker on the field truly can alter how teams view some things, offensively, or defensively, sorry, like how they're going to defend them, what they have to worry about. I think the threat of Kenneth Walker on the field with Patrick Mahomes and a very quality offensive line, I think there's a lot to like there. We've seen this team have to play from light boxes, or play against light boxes a lot and not be able to punish teams particularly well for it. Kenneth Walker does that. And Kenneth Walker is going to get to run into a lot more lighter boxes if defenses continue to play the Chiefs the way that they have historically. So I like the idea of Kenneth Walker more than those two. But I do agree, it's tempting. It's at least worth having the conversation about. And I think, you're solving running back for 2 years, I think, with both of them, if you're doing that. And it's 2 older players. So I don't know. That was just a question I wanted to
I think you better wear out this entire Kenneth Walker contract if you sign up for this. I'm hoping you get in the full 3, not just solving it for 2 years. I don't want to linger too much longer on running back. I don't think Kenneth Walker's a top 3 running back in the NFL, and the Chiefs had to pay him like that. And I understand every year you pay guys more. I just think he is clearly broken into a price bracket that includes the elite of the elite running backs this year. So I definitely think the Chiefs overpaid a little bit, and I'm using overpay very loosely because, again, they had to. It's all about, whatever they bring. It doesn't really matter the percentage. Just they paid him more money than I thought the Chiefs were going to pay for a running back that was available. Because you're paying him what teams are paying the elite guys right now, and I don't think he's quite there. So I was a little surprised they got that high up there.
How high did you think they were going?
I thought they probably would have capped out at 12, and even that probably why I leaned ETN over Kenneth Walker. Along with the fit stuff was just I thought ETN also got over 12.
You got 13. I was to say
right.
You would have been out of both.
I thought they'd have been able to net. No, I get why they did. I just didn't think they were going to chase it this high. That was all. Because again, you're now paying a guy that I think is more fringe top 10 at running back, top 3 running back money. And I understand some more contracts are about to come in. I think Bijan's still about to get paid. Gibbs is just about to get paid, but that's still Like, that's about it. And like, you're probably staying still top 5 money for a guy that I just don't know if he's quite there. So I was a little surprised that they got talked up or bid up that high, was really my biggest takeaway as it came out.
I've said for the last couple weeks, I thought the Chiefs were going to they have several, at least 2 3-year deals, 3 4-year deals in the works. Like, I just kind of felt like they were going to, just to make everything make sense with the cap, with bringing Travis Kelce back, which we'll talk about in a second. It kind of felt like they were going to have to sign a few multi-year deals, because the benefit of being able to sign a guy to a 3-year deal is you're gonna be able to spread those cap hits over the course of 3 seasons. You're going to be able to be a little bit more flexible there. So Kenneth Walker's signing for an average of a little over $14 million in APY. However, he's not going to be $14 million in APY for his first year in Kansas City. It's going to be a lower cap hit. That's signing guys to multi-year deals, giving them cash as a way to, create some flexibility underneath the cap. The Chiefs signed 2 multi-year deal players, and I think positions that make it manageable, make it easy for them, because running back, yes, it's very expensive, but I mean, look what the edge rushers went. Look what mid-tier edge rushers went for today, and you're talking 3-year, 4-year, $80 million deals for Boye Mafe. The Chiefs, they got a couple reasonable long-term deals done that are going to give them some flexibility under the cap in 2026. The first was Kenneth Walker, and the second is Khyiris Tonga, the defensive tackle from BYU, from the New England Patriots, 3 years, $21 million. Tonga's a guy that we've loved. Like, back in the draft, back during, draft season, that was one of our favorite late day 3 prospects 4 or 5 years ago when he was coming out in the draft. It's fun to see Khyiris Tonga come back, a guy that was at BYU. The Andy Reid connection returns there. It was exciting to see the Chiefs invest in the defensive tackle position today.
Yeah. And they spent real money, right? I mean, $7 million APY. I actually think it seemed pretty straightforward when I read it, right? It was 3 for the 21 and it was 14 guaranteed. So it's pretty straightforward. You're at $7 million per year, which pretty much is the going rate for quality nose tackle play. Not elite and not just good, but not just okay, but good nose tackle play. And I like that they did it. I think the Chiefs had been kind of skirting around doing this for a while. So getting a guy that comes in and can actually matter as a nose tackle, which sounds kind of funny, but you come in and get a guy that can come in and dominate the run play. He's going to keep your linebackers way more free. He's going to help Chris Jones by having this kind of presence that doesn't allow offensive linemen to be late if they're going to do that. It doesn't allow them to kind of linger and keep a drag arm over Chris Jones. It's going to not let them get up to linebackers as quickly. And I really like the fit because Tonga coming out was a little bit more of like a 2-gapper, a plug in the middle, but that's kind of how BYU used him. If you watched him the last couple of years, but especially in New England, he can move. Like, he's got some lateral agility to him. They actually lined him up as like a 5-tech and would loop him back around over the middle numerous times. Like, he can scoot a little bit. And so you transition him like he was with New England last year into this Chiefs defense where they do have a lot more of an attacking front. Like, they don't really want you to 2-gap. They don't want you to get in a nice even stance, frog stance it up, and just like stand there and take up space. They want you to go insert yourself into a gap. Tonga's really good at that. And at his size, with that explosive ability and his power, I just think it's a great fit. And I like that they finally spent a little bit of money at nose tackle rather than trying to just skirt by, especially as Chris Jones gets older. Because run defense has never been Chris Jones, the name of the game for him. But even as he's getting older, not only is he losing like a little bit of the elite pass rush ability, it's not quite as effective when he backdoors every run play. He's not quite showing the same range as he does shooting all these gaps. So you need somebody that can be even more stout next to him. So I really like that move for the Chiefs. That's probably one of my favorite moves they could have made on the entire day.
Oh, and I think he was one of those high emoji, super excited emoji guys for you. You've had a very good day with the emoji game on social media, listing out the players you would or wouldn't be excited about the Chiefs grabbing in free agency. I think both him and Kenneth Walker were up there pretty good for you in that game. So good day for Matt Lane here with the emojis. I do think it's a serious credit to Tonga and probably some schematics, some schematic changes that have benefited him, because I definitely don't. I didn't see some of the pass rush upside that he has displayed recently. I'm very impressed with, his ability to impact into a gap and actually, affect a quarterback. Like, I think saw Zach Eisen throwing some pressure rates out, and he was, he's not a world beater by any stretch of the world, but like he was generating quality pressure rates as a pass rusher. And so you're getting a guy that has a run stopping background that can, park it in the A gap and make it really difficult to move, but you're also getting a little bit more pass rush upside than you've had in the past, I think, than you've seen in the past out of him. And I mean, it's night and day different than what this team has had with Mike Pennell and Derek Nottie. And man, credit to those guys, but this is, I mean, it's a noticeable difference watching Tonga play in a gap versus what those two guys can do.
So, to back this up right now, he only had 216 pass rush reps for the Patriots last year. So like keep that in mind, but he had, a win percentage of 15.5%. That number means nothing to you. I understand. That's the same as Christian Barmore had for the New England Patriots. Granted, on way more pass rush reps, over essentially double, but still just the same rate. So like he's getting, for a nose tackle, I'm very clear, he's clearly a nose tackle. For a nose tackle, that's a pretty good number. That means on 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 9 or whatever, where he's still out there on the field, if it is a pass play, he's not just a nothing. He's not just standing in the middle of the line of scrimmage doing nothing. He's going to create pocket push. He actually has a pretty nice like clubs arm over move that he does that he can get a little bit of disruption on the interior. So especially if they can get him lined up over centers who are usually a little bit undersized, or just get him in the right spots. Like, yeah, I think he's never going to be a high pressure guy. I don't want to confuse anybody for that. It's just there is an actual chance for him to impact the pass play way more than a Pennell or Nottie ever did. And then even going to the run game, he's just so much rangier than those two guys. He just has so much more range, and he's just as strong, if not stronger, at the point of attack. I think he does a really good job with like his lateral movement. So again, if you're dealing with like stopping a zone run and that gap he's trying to get into starts moving, he doesn't have an issue matching that pace and getting his hat across the person, not getting reached. I think you saw Pennell and this point of his career have struggles with that. Derek Nottie's always struggled with that, especially since his hip injury. So they clearly got better across the board at nose tackle. I think it's going to make a lot of the other places better. I did chuckle when the Chiefs made 2 moves immediately in free agency, and it was a 2-down running back and a 2-down defensive tackle.
Yeah, that checks out. I just think it's the easiest way to get multi-year deals done. I think those are 2 of the positions that it's a lot easier to get multi-year deals done. Like I said, I think that helps them manage their cap a little bit better, being able to sign those 2 guys to extension or to long-term deals. That gives them a little bit more flexibility. Those are 2 positions that becomes more manageable for them to do for 2026. Obviously, Kenneth Walker's cap hit in 2028 is going to be $17 million, $18 million, but that's a problem for 2028 Brett Veach. One thing, just side thought I've just kind of been having, like the Chiefs go and make sure that they secure a defensive tackle. Yes, he's probably a 2-down player. You're not putting him on obvious passing downs or anything like that, but definitely helps the early downs for sure, and gives you a little bit more juice as a pass rusher than you thought. Part of me wondered, like, looking at Odafe Owa going for $25 million a year APY, and Boye Mafe going for $20 million a year. When we're sitting having conversations a month ago, like, man, I want Boye Mafe $15 million a year deal, and we're 33% off. We're just he goes for 33% more than we even anticipate. I love that the Chiefs invested in the defensive line and found a way to get better up front, even though, like, yes, they badly need edge. They need to continue to invest. They need to find edge. They need to find something in edge to make sense. I appreciate that they were able to find an improvement along the defensive line and get creative there and give Tonga a deal. That, not that it's solving your edge rusher thing or that it precludes the Chiefs from taking an edge rusher, but just aggressively making sure that they're getting some kind of help along the defensive line. I'm appreciative of that because, I don't know where this edge market's going, man. It's wild to see some of the figures going for some of these edge rushers right now. There's no chance the Chiefs were fixing, we're getting into the Odafe Owa market or Boye Mafe even.
I mean, like I was going to say it for the end of the show, but we're talking about it now. Like, yeah, but what's the alternative though? There's not an alternative, right? I mean,
there's an alternative. There is an alternative.
No, there's not a real alternative. You're going to say sign a bad player, or you're going to go into the draft with the Giant. Like, it's just there's not an alternative to it. So it's kind of.
I think you should ruminate on that a little bit, and then.
But he's not there.
Back to me. Maybe he is. Maybe they feel good about him.
Okay, that's cool if he is, but if he's not there, and they still needed somebody else. It's just, I understand the market's crazy at defensive end. I get not wanting to pay Owa that much money, or Jalen Phillips, or Boye Mafe. Like, I get it. I'm not saying like, oh, they should have signed this person or that person, but like, I'm looking at who's still available, and like, everybody spent all offseason saying, oh, the Chiefs got to get better as a pass rusher. Well, okay, Bradley Chubb, come on down. Like, there's not a lot left anymore. AJ Epinesa, like, these are guys that aren't moving the needle whatsoever. You're getting Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu level players to come back in, maybe for a little bit cheaper, but like, you're not getting better at what everybody deemed one of your biggest weaknesses until the draft, which is cool. Hopefully you get a Ruben Bain, or maybe they really love the top end of this edge class and they think whether it's Bain or somebody else will be there at pick 9 and they're happy with it. It's just, I have been incredibly curious that they have decided not to partake in the edge market, even though it was crazy, because a lot of teams signed a lot of guys from the edge room real quick this year, and they don't have bodies or good bodies to put out there right now.
Mike Dana's coming back on a vet man deal.
Maybe, but like that doesn't help your complaint from last year's. All I'm saying.
I know.
And like neither does Epinesa. It's weird. It's not weird. It's just an odd spot. I was kind of surprised that it's come this way, but people paid him. People paid him quick.
Maybe they're in on some trades. Maybe they're looking at Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe that's something.
Sure, he'll be cheap when you have to extend him.
By the way, that George Karlaftis deal does not look bad right now. I'm just saying. I'll say it. I understand people are frustrated with it, but like $20 million APY, that's basically like we're talking. George is getting Boye Mafe deal, a little bit less, I think. So I think it's going to continue to age well for him. I think George will have a nice little bounce back season this year. We didn't put it on the rundown, but I did want to pivot real quick because like this just it's top of my head. Man, the Chiefs have lost a lot of defensive backs in free agency. That 2022 class is getting absolutely paid right now. You've got Trent out the door. Jalen Watson signs to join him in Los Angeles. Brian Cook goes to Cincinnati. And Josh Williams is counting against the compensatory formula on a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. Oh, by the way, so is Gardner Minshew counting against the compensatory formula with a $6 million deal that he signs there. Now, I don't know how. Are you surprised that Chiefs didn't bring any of those guys back?
Hell yeah. Again, I was saving this for the end because we didn't have like a segment for it, so I was going to do this in what's next. Like, Chiefs don't have a defensive line and they don't have a defensive backfield. That's tough. They don't really have great receivers. They did get a running back. I don't mean this in a bad way, but like and it's day one. It's been literally one day of free agency. I want to be very clear.
A lot of ball game left.
Some options, but go look at who's left. There's not as much, like there's names, but there's not names, if that makes sense. Like people are going to say like, oh, Trey Hendrickson's out there. Like, sure. If the Chiefs finagle that deal, awesome. That's really cool. But like move past the guys the Reek Woolens and the Trey Hendricksons, the guys that are going to be really expensive. Maybe the Chiefs sign them, but once you get past those like top end guys that are still available, that are probably negotiating for way more money than what we anticipate the Chiefs spending, there's not a lot of starters left at cornerback. And that market was very reasonable for the majority of the day. There's not a lot of starters left at safety in another market that was reasonable. Defensive end, not as reasonable, but there's not a lot of starters left there. Like we're getting closer to the point where you're signing Jags that have to be starters to go into the draft where you still need starters. So it's just, I was very curious that they didn't bring back Brian Cook, Jalen Watson. That's about it. I'm not so interested in the Joshua Williams one. But like I was a little surprised they didn't bring back either one of those guys. That's a lot of youth back there, a lot of guys that don't have a ton of experience in Steve Spagnuolo's system. Even if you go draft Caleb Downs, please quit saying that to me. Even if you go draft him, he has zero experience in Spag's system. He's not going to come in and be that level of leader on day one. You still want some kind of veteran presence that matters. So like, it's just, I was a little surprised that they did not want anybody of that, like that caliber, coming back to the team.
D-line problems, defensive back problems. The Chiefs just need to draft Caleb Downs and Reuben Bain with the 9th pick.
Oh, don't forget wide receiver now. They also going to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players at pick 9 and taken.
Lemon, Bain, and Downs with the 9th pick. Just make it happen, Veach. I don't want to hear any excuses whatsoever. The Chiefs currently, for those counting at home, right now, if the free agency period halted today, the Chiefs would have a 4th-round compensatory pick and a 7th-round compensatory pick in 2027 for their net losses in free agency. So that's how it sits right now. They did also officially get awarded a 5th-round compensatory pick today. Pick 176 goes to the Chiefs. So that'll get added to the ledger and all the draft capital that they have for this upcoming draft. Big news kind of happened before free agency today. Shortly beforehand, the news kind of came out. And, it's been a long day, long 24 hours, but the national nightmare is over. Travis Kelce will not be a Cincinnati Bengal. He will be, again, a member of the Kansas City Chiefs after what he has said repeatedly over the last few years, that he will not go anywhere else. He will finish the Kansas City Chiefs despite his agent's best efforts to threaten other teams wanting to pay him more money. He winds up in Kansas City on a 1-year, $12 million deal that can be valued up to $15 million. We know about Trav. How do you feel about the contract? How do you feel about that deal? Where'd that sit for you?
I don't have a lot of thoughts on this. I think it's kind of been leaning towards Kelce was coming back this year for the Chiefs. It was going to be a 1-year deal. A 1-year deal of a player that was still as productive as he was and as good as he was last year was going to be more expensive than I would love to spend on an older tight end. But 10 to 12 as the base salary is kind of what I thought. We got to see the incentives up to 15. That's a lot of money for 1 year because you can't move it around. It doesn't sound like the Chiefs are doing any funny void year stuff, which is, probably smart. Probably smart. It's fine. I don't love the contract, but it's fine. I also think it might be very important for this team because, I just don't. From what we saw from Rashee Rice last year and Xavier Worthy, I don't know how you have a ton of trust in them. And so you need somebody that you feel is reliable, right? You need someone that you know is going to be reliable, and Travis Kelce still brings you that. So I get it, I guess. Even if I don't I don't think it was pinned as he is getting more money offered from somewhere else, but he only wants to play in Kansas City. I don't think he was getting a whole lot more than $15 million, up to $15 million from other teams. I feel like that's probably a little bit of a stretch to say he's turning down better offers from other teams. I don't think I quite buy that one.
Felt around where I thought this was going to land. Maybe a little bit lower. The upside, I think, pushes it over where I thought 13 million-ish was kind of where I thought it was going to be, just because that's what about what Mark Andrews got, about what Isaiah Likely got. Feels like a fair deal for an aging player. 1 year, $12 million up to 15. I always thought this contract negotiation was going to be a little bit interesting. I'm kind of pleased, surprised. I could have seen the Chiefs trying to be a little bit lower than that throughout the process. It's really hard to evaluate a 36-year-old lifetime player that has shown signs of aging, that hasn't been as productive the last few years. It's hard to evaluate a guy like that. I'm just glad it doesn't seem like it was overly contentious. Maybe there was a little bit of little bit of discussion there going the last week or so. I wondered where things would land. I don't think Travis would necessarily try to push too hard on the contract stuff. I've always said, though, I feel like he needed to be able to walk into Tight End U this summer, which is that event that he hosts with all these tight ends, and at least be able to say that he helped advance the position, right? He can't go in there and devalue the position any. He can't go in there and take an $8 million deal and look in front of all those guys and say, I'm helping. I think that's a tough spot for him to be in, right? So I'm glad the Chiefs took care of him. I'm glad that it seems reasonable. And if Patrick Mahomes is happy, you should be happy. That's I think Patrick wanted him back, and I'm glad it didn't get too contentious for them, or it doesn't seem like it got overly contentious, even though I could see the Chiefs probably feeling like they maybe overpaid a little bit. just knowing that. But like, I think you gotta take care of your guys, and you gotta take care of whoever Patrick Mahomes wants on the field. Any other thoughts on Travis?
No, James Palmer, I guess, had like a little video segment that said like somebody from the Chiefs said they underutilized him. Boy, I don't know if I want to see more utilized Travis Kelce at this point. I think his value is using him less so he's more efficient rather than relying on him to do more. But like I said, I'm curious, like you don't know what you're getting out of Rice and Worthy and Royals this year, and that's about the end of the wide receiver room, right? So maybe you have to. Maybe they're like, hey, if those are our options, maybe we do need to run Travis Kelce into the ground even more. I think he would be better situated as the year goes on to be more situationally relied on and not so much being like such an engine of the offense. But it sounded like, at least again, according to Palmer, that was like something that somebody thought was a possibility.
Okay, so let's talk about some news that something that didn't happen today for the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a report. Jermaine Illuminor re-signed with the New York Giants today, the right tackle for the Giants, on a 3-year, $39 million deal. Congratulations to Jermaine and your generational wealth. But Art Stapleton comes in and reports. He is on the Giants beat, well-known writer out there east. I'm told the Giants held off pushes from the Chiefs and Browns to keep Illuminor here per sources. That caused me to have a minor crash out today in the group chat, to say it lightly. Here's kind of where I'm going with some things. Maddie knows the take, so he's just gonna hear it again. There's been a lot of buzz around the Chiefs' interest at tackle. And it's not just the stuff that has been public. We've seen the mock drafts, and we've all mocked them. The Chiefs don't need a tackle. They have Jalen Moore. We know this. Why is the national media mocking him to a tackle to the Chiefs? There's been some stuff some stuff that we've heard even of the Chiefs, interest in some tackles in the draft and some players in the draft, left tackle and right tackle. I am not the biggest Jason La Canfora fan at all, but he has also connected the Chiefs to 2 different left tackles over the course of this.
Convenience, only him.
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of conversation happening around the tackle spot. The Chiefs have needs at edge. The Chiefs have no defensive line, as you just said. The Chiefs have no defensive backfield, as you've just said. The Chiefs have no receivers, as you've just said. And here they are in the market for a right tackle that garnered $39 million over 3 seasons in free agency. Now
how much is that per year?
$13 million.
Okay.
The Chiefs obviously did not get him, but I don't think the Chiefs were offering him 9. I don't think the conversation continues, and the Chiefs are pushing to sign Jermaine Illuminor for $9 million. I think that was a 8-figure per year deal that the Chiefs were willing to offer Jermaine Illuminor. With all of the smoke around the tackle, both sides, I'm lost. I'm lost. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it.
Okay.
And trying to piece this thing together and trying to figure out why exactly the Chiefs are interested in paying potentially a backup right tackle, a starting right tackle to replace Jalen Moore. I don't understand what the thought process is. I don't understand them allocating that much of a resource to a right tackle when they already have it on their roster. It brings more questions to me than it does answers. I think it's a very open-ended conversation, and it is. I don't get it. I don't get.
I wanted to provide some answers because you and I disagree significantly on this. Now, you did a good job there and not making this a left tackle conversation because then we would have my niceness from earlier in the show would have gone away. This has nothing to do with left tackle. I'm spading this.
Well, I'll add the little comment. The intrusive thought I had is that are the Chiefs with the Trent Williams stuff today? Well, if Trent Williams is your left tackle, they either don't think Josh Simmons is going to play this year, or they're
fire Veach and the staff.
or they're comfortable moving him to the right side. And so it's like,
Crazy.
Yes, I'm not saying it's not.
That's
I'm
also a lock and forth thing and nobody else. Sorry, Grant Cohn also said it, which he probably just heard it from Lock and Fora. So let's just be
Anyways.
clear. I don't buy anything to the left tackle. Right tackle.
It made me crash out. It made me crash out because it doesn't make sense.
Is a bottom of the barrel, respectfully starting right tackle. He got in a bidding war of multiple teams. He got $13 million APY. That's less than Jalen Moore had not in a bidding war just last year. So we can say the Chiefs wanted him. We can say the Chiefs don't like Jalen Moore. They weren't willing to pay him even Jalen Moore's contract. They stopped well short. I'm not well, but like a chunk short of what they were paying Jalen Moore just last year. So I don't think we can even say they were bringing Luminor in to be the starter. Could he be brought in for competition? Sure, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with bringing in a 32-year-old veteran right tackle to compete against Jalen Moore to be a starting tackle. Absolutely, positively fine. I don't get the panic over this. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Last year, how many did Josh Simmons play? Ballpark.
How many games?
Yeah.
8.
Okay. Ballpark. How many games did Jalen Moore miss with injury?
0.
Jalen Moore got hurt.
Did he get hurt?
Then he missed like the last 3 games.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Those last 3 don't count for anything. Like, let's be honest. The season ended. The season ended on Thanksgiving.
But he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
He got hurt, and he was the swing tackle last year. So their swing tackle they paid a lot of money to last year got hurt and had to step in, and he got hurt. So they have 2 tackles returning off of some level of injury. Their current backup tackles are Essapol, an undrafted free agent they already waived once, and Wanya Morris, who had a terrible injury last year that they don't really seem that keen on playing. So is it crazy to assume or to think that the Chiefs say, injuries at offensive tackle keep biting us in the ass. What if we pay this very solid veteran that, here's the kicker, has played left tackle, right guard, and right tackle over the past 3 seasons, not insignificant snaps at them either, to come in and compete for a starting job, but then be our swing tackle. Now Illuminor or Jalen Moore can go play left tackle if Josh Simmons has an injury, or if Jalen Moore gets hurt or sucks, Illuminor can go play right tackle. And by the way, we're only paying him $13 million, which is less than what we were paying Jalen Moore. If it's all about Jalen Moore, if it was just Jalen Moore stinks and we're afraid, guess what they could have done? Kept Juwan Taylor. That was right there in front of them. If they did not think Jalen Moore could play whatsoever, they would have just kept the guy that they think can play. Instead, they went ahead and said, we think Jalen Moore provides a solid floor. We can maybe bring in competition with the Luminor or a draft pick. We'll see come April. Or the counter is he could have just been your swing tackle. Again, for less money than Jalen Moore. And he has left tackle experience. So, I think people are making way too much about this because, it's not like they tried to sign, I don't even know what right tackle is available to make more. It's not like they tried to pay somebody starting right tackle money, I guess, is ultimately where it comes into it.
I think the reason that people are concerned about it a little bit more is I think first off, the Jalen Moore context is a little bit different, I think, than Jermaine Illuminor, right? With Jalen Moore, they were trying, there's a world where Jalen Moore is the starting left tackle for the Chiefs last year because he was the only guy available. Yeah. And that's really why they did it. It's the only cost-effective option available for them at the left tackle spot. That's why they didn't want to lock in too long term, but they wanted to have something available to them that was better and a better option than what they had last year. So that's the context of Jalen Moore being signed for $15 million. He got signed to be a potential left tackle. And then he wound up not being because they drafted Josh Simmons, and Josh Simmons is awesome. I think the thing that's so jarring is on its surface, signing a swing tackle is so far removed from the process that this team has had historically with the offensive line, where they're not going out of their. Jalen Moore was there to be the starter, unless they could improve it through the draft, and they were lucky enough to be able to. Jermaine Illuminor, if it really is just purely a swing tackle, that is just a lot of money to invest in a swing tackle. So far, it's so different than what they've done over the last few years. Now, I will say, because you make a good point, with Illuminor, that does give you overlap between Jalen Moore, whose contract ends this year, and him. So you have your 5 ready to roll out in 2027, if that's the case, if you have Illuminor on the roster. So I'll give you that one. I don't think the amount of money paid to Jalen Moore on the 2-year deal last year versus the 3-year deal that he just signed with Illuminor just signed is the argument. I just think it's maybe you're right, but I think there's context between the two that gets lost. And I think that's what's so jarring is just seeing such a departure with the way that they've spent money in the swing tackle market historically. They've gone cheap with their backup offensive line so often in the past. That's the thing I think that is throwing some things off here.
But it keeps biting them. Like even last year when they,
sure.
I understand that Jalen Moore wasn't signed to be a swing tackle, but there was also still, they had to know that they were willing to make him be a swing tackle if a better opportunity presented itself, which it did. So like they were okay paying him to be a swing tackle as well. Right? They were fine with that, and they did. And so I don't think that we can go out of our way and say, hey, just because they wanted to pay Illuminor, again, what's going to be bottom of the barrel non-rookie contract starting right tackle money, like literally bottom of the barrel for non-rookie contract starters at right tackle. I just don't know if that's something worth like freaking out about what the Chiefs think of Jalen Moore. Maybe Illuminor would have come in and won a starting job. Maybe he could have won a competition. That's fine.
I think that's where
cool.
that was heading, honestly.
Yeah,
if that was the case, I think there's a chance Illuminor's starting.
I think that's okay if that's the case. I don't think that they were paying if they wanted him to start. I think they win the bidding war, or 2, they keep Juwan Taylor. If they wanted somebody to start over Jalen Moore, they would make somebody start over Jalen Moore. They obviously were more okay with bringing in somebody to be in a competition or to be the backup, I guess was my takeaway from that. That's all. I'm not freaking out about that one. And until somebody not named JLC reports any interest in a left tackle, I'm not giving that the time of day. So like, I don't want to say concern. I think the offensive tackle stuff is being blown out of proportion.
I think it just was surprising. It was just like, I think it was still surprising for me just to see the number that he got and the fact that the Chiefs were at least in the ballpark of that. Ooh. And
Illuminor also had more penalties last year than Juwan Taylor. So we can't even use that as an excuse for not wanting Taylor, but wanting Illuminor. So like
the Chiefs, it's so bad. How many, I wonder how many 6 offensive linemen would be getting $12 million
Probably
per
not
year.
much.
Probably not many. And that's my other thing is I mean, Jalen Moore kind of by default, because the Chiefs actually lucked in the Simmons, were able to, like he was 15, but I doubt very many are getting 12. And that's my only other like pushback that just seems like a lot to be paying a swing tackle when you have no D-line, corners, safeties, wide receivers. I mean, there's just a laundry list of things. And you're like, you know what we should do? You know what our second biggest investment should be? Jermaine Illuminor to maybe play. I don't know. Antennas are up is all. My antennas are staying up. They will stay up. Before we get out of here, Maddie, we've seen some moves made by the Kansas City Chiefs. You've referred to the end of this show 3 times in this show.
Yeah.
What do you think the Chiefs are doing next?
Boy, I don't know. Like I've kind of, we kind of shot the water early on this one, but like I've been confused about their general free agency plan so far. I'm not going to lie. Like they've gone for low priority positions, good players with them. And I like the moves in a vacuum. People are going to get mad because I say this. I want to be very clear. I like the moves in a vacuum. It's just the entire plan so far has been an older tight end, a nose tackle, and a 2-down running back. And that running back got paid a good chunk of money. And so the tight end, like that's just a weird way to start free agency when you have holes at pass catcher, when you have holes at pass rusher, and when you have holes across your entire secondary. So I'm curious how they're going to wrap this together. I'm not saying they won't. I'm curious how they put a bow on free agency so that 2 weeks from now, when we start talking only about the draft, they don't have to take a wide receiver at 9, and they don't have to take a defensive end at 9, and they don't have to take a corner at 9, and they don't have to take a safety at 9. What's the path to do that? I don't see a lot of names out there available that make me feel great about fixing those positions. There's some, just not a ton. So like, I'm curious how they wrap this up because it kind of felt like they had a plan going into free agency. I like that they're not skimping on running back and nose tackle like they have been lately. We've seen how that's worked out. It just kind of feels like they were spending their money and their time at non-premium positions while they have holes at premium positions. So I'm curious at what their next couple moves are going to be.
I am too. It's just like also like looking through the hierarchy of like what they've prioritized and what they spent day one doing. what they spent day one finalizing and pursuing, and then like where do you go from here? It doesn't seem like they've really spent a lot of time focusing on those non-premium positions. So are they trying to play in the middle class of some of these more key positions? The good news is we make the joke about pick 9, but I think that the draft does sit well at corner, at edge, receiver. Like if those are just if you're locked into those 3 positions being the first 4 picks in the draft, like there's worse things that could happen. Just a matter of how you play that game. But I'd anticipate we see a few more moves to make this thing better before that. What position do you think is next? Call your shot. Right tackle.
I mean, like they clearly need a safety. Like it can't be Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks, but they clearly need a corner because it can't be Christian Roland Wallace, Christian Fulton, and Noel Williams. And they clearly need an edge because it can't be George Karlaftis and a blank space. So like it's really hard. Looking at the options, I think there's still some like safeties available that make a little bit of sense. So maybe that's the route they go next. I don't know. I honestly, I don't have a good read because I did not anticipate them coming out firing in free agency at these positions. Running back and D tackle and tight end are positions that I would say you could catch in the second wave usually pretty well. I wouldn't say that your D ends and corners are your wave 2 of free agency targets, right? Like I wouldn't say that's your prime target for those positions. So I'm curious. I don't really have a prediction. I'll say safety just to put something on the board though, I suppose.
Receiver seems crazy right now. Edge seems crazy right now. Tyquan Thornton's going to get more than we think, I think.
Looking at some other receiver deals, I could see him getting a little bit more than the Chiefs would want to pay or than what everybody thinks.
So it's just some big numbers out there I was not anticipating at some of these positions, and I don't know if that altered their plan at all or what they decided to do there. But I'll go safety too. I think that's a good move. I think that's the right one. I feel like safety feels like the one that needs it the most. Like that's the one that feels like the room that needs it the most.
That corner room scares me. The deep, they all scare me. So you know what? I can't even say that.
I know. It's just who you starting at safety?
Who am I starting at the end?
Ashton Gelati.
At corner. Like they are struggling for starters at those spots. Now, the reason I'm leaning safety though is I think there's still a couple guys like Alohi Gilman has like with the Ravens after he got traded there. It's like, hey, look, he's not great, but he check marks enough boxes that's a fine starter. It's not Brian Cook, but it's a fine starter because he can do a little bit of everything. Nick Cross, I think a lot of people like coming out of Indy. He does a lot of stuff. He's a little younger. There's more upside. Like I think there's some safeties that you could still get right now that aren't expensive. If you look at D end, it's either, we're going to go break the bank for Trey Hendrickson. We're going to trade for Kayvon Thibodeau, or we're going to sign a Mike Dana level player, right? Like there's not a lot of in between. There's no middle ground there. Corner, there's a little more middle ground, but it's very specific. And so I don't know. Safety feels like there's still some players in the middle that make sense. And that feels like where you're probably looking to attack right now. So that's why I'm going safety. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I think it would be crazy to go into the draft needing a safety picking at pick 9.
Caleb Downs.
Insane planning.
At pick 9 in the 2026 NFL Draft. That is going to do it
Absolutely
for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Make sure you are checking out everything going on at KC Sports Network this week. Breaking news team will be here the next time the Chiefs sign somebody. So make sure you're paying attention to that and that beautiful blazer that Tuck launched this week. It is a spectacular thing. And you can also check out Maddie Lane's shoulders if it's in the afternoon. That is going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Got to get some defenders so they can draft all offense. Some weapons.